It's time for the moment you've been waiting for. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. Tsh, da, 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 da. Di, da, di, di, da, di, di, da, 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 da. Di, da, di, li, da, di, li, di, da. Di, da, di, li, di, da, di, li, 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 da, di, di, da, di, di, da, di, di, da.
The hell are you supposed to be?
My name is Jeff.
So I attended a fan screening of The Batman, and as someone who's not really a Batman fan, I really did like this movie a lot. I tried to get into Batman as a kid, but for some reason my childish brain was too childish to handle the dark and mature themes of it, and right now as a 25-year-old adult, I'm still kind of like that. Batman just isn't a very interesting character to me, but in this Batman, he's incredibly interesting. There are so many great things that they add to this character. My favorite detail specifically is that he's kind of quiet most of the time. They make it clear that this isn't just any ordinary superhero. No, this is a guy who is incredibly traumatized by his past and lives his days making sure no one goes through that same trauma. One thing that's amazing about Robert Pattinson as an actor is his ability to say so much with his facial expressions. Take this shot from Good Time, for example. This is one of my favorite shots in any movie ever, and Pattinson's face throughout the entirety of the scene shows a sense of guilt and failure without having to say a word of dialogue. In The Batman, it's just like that. You can tell so much about him just by the look on his face, and I love how they don't feel the need to make this Batman so complex. His motives really should be so simplistic, he doesn't even need to say that much. And yes, of course, Bobby Pattinson is probably my favorite Batman for the reasons I just stated. He adds so many layers to the character, and for most of the time, you see him as Batman, not Bruce Wayne. That could be an ingredient for it being too goofy. I mean, it's a guy wrestling people in a bat costume, but Pattinson knows exactly how to present this character, and it more than just works. The supporting cast is great as well. Zoe Kravitz, who I've always loved, brings a lot of charm and sexiness to Catwoman, and she's fantastic in the action sequences. Colin Farrell plays Rudy Giuliani doing an Al Pacino impression, and he's so much fun to watch because you can tell he's having so much fun. Like, I seriously can't believe that voice is Colin Farrell. Paul Dano as the Riddler was completely intimidating, and Paul Dano has always been such a committed actor, and with the Riddler, at least for me, he seemed so convincing that it actually unnerved me. It's probably my favorite performance in the movie, and I'm mad they didn't use him as much. He brings a lot of energy and tension to the film, and every time he's on screen for the scenes that he has, he steals every scene. My biggest compliment, though, is that the Batman stays true to itself. This is a dark, mean, and ruthless version of Batman, and it stays that way throughout the whole thing. Gotham City is portrayed as a city that is so divided, disgusting, and full of hate, and even though there's a guy in a bat costume wrestling bad guys, you can see that that really isn't enough. The city is still barely developed, and the way they set that up was so clever to me. Not to mention the fights here are absolutely brutal. You feel every hit, and you feel kind of defenseless to it. This is a Batman that does feel on top of things, like he knocks people out with one hit, but you still feel the brutality of it all. Kudos to director Matt Reeves, you did a good job, man, proud of you. The way I can describe how dark this movie feels to me is that it feels like everyone is done with hope, and they feel the only way to solve their problems is to fight it out. Which is basically every superhero movie ever made, but you know what I mean. Michael Giacchino's score as well is phenomenal. Though I do think they play the Batman theme a little bit too much, it's still a great theme that fits the character of Batman, and it's probably my favorite Batman theme. But then we get songs like Catwoman's theme, which is this really haunting piano concerto, and this might be a weird comparison, but her theme reminds me of something out of Phantom Thread or Spencer, and I mean that in the best way possible. It's such a beautiful theme for an otherwise tragic character. Though I do really like this movie, I do have some problems. One, why the hell is this movie 3 hours long? I definitely felt the length, and it didn't need to be 3 hours. 2.5 would have been fine. What warranted a 3-hour runtime? This is a simplistic story. Did you want to make it epic? Epic isn't length. There are moments that started to get kind of repetitive to me. Also, yeah, I do think this movie gets too unintentionally goofy sometimes, and they make some really weird decisions with some characters that are honestly kind of cringy. They don't take away from the overall quality of the movie, but it's so head-scratchingly weird and out of place. There's one specifically involving the Riddler. I don't know what they thought they would have accomplished with that. But aside from all of that, I was never bored and I was always entertained. I like this movie a lot and I'm gonna see this again, and I think this may be my favorite Batman movie. So check it out when it comes out on the 5th of March. Alright, thanks for watching. Here are my socials, and if you like what you see, be sure to subscribe. Also, thanks to my good buddy Jorge for the thumbnail. You did a great job, bud. Here's his Instagram. Please follow him. Alright, bye-bye.